Couple of years in there.
Yeah. A couple of nars and whatnot.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
A couple of depths just to bring the IQ back up.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we're already rolling. Welcome back. This is episode 2. If you didn't catch us on episode 1, you can run back and check that one out. But yeah, we're back. Episode 2
My mic on?
of 20 in the year.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, it's road to 20, but most people that saw our podcast didn't actually know who we were. We should probably do names, eh?
Yeah.
I'm Jordan.
Blake.
Isaac. And together we are
The Power Rangers.
Valenti.
Via Valenti.
Yes, that's
Have we
us.
discussed what Via Valenti is?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Episode
We
1.
did. I think I've asked you that 3 or 4 times at this point.
Probably even say like, where do we meet? We didn't go too in depth in that last podcast, didn't we?
Well, we all met through, with the exception of Blake and I. Blake and I went to school together. We're good friends in, I don't know what year,
Couple of
8.
years.
Few years, year 8, 9 or 10 or something like that.
Then. Yeah.
Then kind of drifted apart for a bit.
As you do.
Yeah. And then got into calisthenics myself, solo, trained it alone for a year. Then I met Isaac at
Sydney Park.
Sydney Olympic Park training in the gymnastics center. So I wanted to start learning dynamic
You
calisthenics.
just randomly rock up one time to gymnastics.
Yeah, just by
It's like-
myself.
So
So
literally
literally, and
just-
I was like,
just-
yeah, I'll just be friends with them.
I was training there for a bit, and
How
of
did
course,
you-
what caught my attention was Jordan and Tyler wanted to learn dynamics. And at that time, when I learned dynamics, not many people wanted to do so as well. And so to see 2 guys that fresh into the gym,
So you were already doing dynamics.
yeah, I was doing dynamics for about like 3 months.
And when was this? What's like the timeline? Where are we at?
This is
It
like
was early in the year. Was it early last
this
year?
was this
Early
was
last
like
year.
July 2022.
Yeah, okay, so pretty much like just over a year ago.
Yeah,
And you were 3 months
yeah, I
in.
remember because I just finished my running phase.
Oh yeah, you
and
did
that was
that.
in
You did that
May.
mad 100-kilometer. Is that
Yeah,
what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's sick.
that in May, and then after that, I was like, oh, thank God, now I can just go hard out with calisthenics.
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you into Cali when you were doing the run?
Yeah, I did it for about a year, but that goes to show, like, I've been doing it for 2 years, and I've already progressed really fast. And that was my pretty much the whole first year. I was doing running
And you did
fucking
swimming. You
30 hours a week,
You
bro.
did swimming as well,
of
right? You
running.
did those random ocean swims.
Yeah,
You
but
had,
that
a
was
whole
like
bunch
one
of
off
shit
with
going
barely
on.
any training, so
Yeah.
that was very manageable.
Was that around the same time as running? Because they would have like kind
Yeah, it
of
was
tied in,
early.
like,
It
the
was
cardio.
early stages of running.
The cardio would have tied in.
Yeah,
Who inspired you?
Davey Goggins, mate.
Davey.
Davey
Good old
Goggins.
Davey.
Who's going to
Goggins,
carry
man.
the boats?
Yeah, literally.
the logs?
After I read his book, I said, oh, I want to do a 100-kilometer.
Is his book any
run.
good?
So,
Worth
yeah,
reading?
It's very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I listened
I
to
might have
the
to add it to the
audiobook.
list.
I recommend is the
What's
best.
What's it called?
Can't Hurt Me.
Can't hurt me. I'm
dude,
I reckon the
gonna listen to
audiobook
that.
is the
goated.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a
That's
list.
cool.
I got a rapidly growing list of books to read.
So why'd you move to calisthenics then?
So I first started training calisthenics during COVID, the second round of COVID, because gyms were closed and just wanted a way to keep training and get stronger. And I'd known about a muscle up, and I decided, okay, I'm going to learn how to muscle up because I go to the bar park and I'm just doing random circuits of just basic, pull-ups, dips.
That's always the
rows,
gateway.
push-ups.
The
Yeah,
gateway to calisthenics is muscle ups.
Basic, yeah.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the same as me. I started off parkour. I wanted to learn the muscle up so I can do wall climbs faster, which is basically just scaling up a wall and then trying to push yourself up on top of it and just keep running. And I need the muscle up to learn how to get that push strength at the top. And then I just stuck with calisthenics after that.
Yeah.
So you did it to basically get better in parkour.
Yeah,
But then you said, stuff parkour, this is actually way more fun,
yeah.
basically.
And you just went down the rabbit hole of
Yeah,
calisthenics.
to me, calisthenics is a bridge, and for the people that don't know what calisthenics is, it's basically body weight exercises. So think push-ups, pull-ups, bodyweight squats, dips. If you've seen anime like Goku, Naruto, Rock Lee, Zoro, the people that do all those cool exercises like Bruce Lee, yeah, that's all calisthenics. It's like kind of like a cool, flashy kind of sport aesthetic that we all strive for, just to have total control of our bodies.
And in Latin, it translates to beautiful strength.
Yeah.
That's
Ali meaning beautiful,
That's
and
so
then
sick.
Thenos meaning strength. So beautiful strength.
That's so sick. That's
Yeah.
such an awesome translation.
Was it the other way around?
Nah.
Okay.
It's not the other way around.
Okay, yeah, righto.
Definitely that way.
Yeah, righto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want a fact check?
Can if you want.
Fact check.
Why
check.
not?
Fact
Right.
check.
Fact check.
Yeah. As
But-
he's searching that up,
I wanted to ask you where it started. Where did calisthenics start?
do you believe it got popularized through Hannibal for King, who's this American street workout athlete who just did like the craziest dips, craziest looking muscle ups, just some flashy moves in the bar park, and he had so many videos of him being absolutely jacked, doing these bodyweight movements, no weights, and that kind of blew up around that 2008 to 2011 mark. But in Greece, they did lots of gymnastics back then, but then some people made it a bit more street rugged, and that's how calisthenics
Basically
came about,
originated from gymnastics.
Yeah, it's
which
like
is,
just
which
a
is
more
why it came out of Europe.
Kind of a cooler and more street style.
dirty gymnastics.
Absolutely cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly
Gymnastics is a little bit too elegant in my opinion.
cooler. It's a little bit too.
I think that if your form is too good sometimes, it doesn't look as cool.
It's a little bit too flowery.
Yeah. For lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact check was came back positive.
Yeah.
Kalos means beauty. Stenos means strength.
Okay. Got that down because
Yeah.
I thought aesthetics. Like
Now that we've cleared that up,
yeah, you got something to say?
No.
Well, let's go back to how I met Jordan then, because like I saw you doing freestyle, and then I literally said hi to you and Tyler. I knew straight off the bat that you guys are awesome.
We did a little sync backflip as well together.
Yeah. Did a sync backflip and then put that on the story. And since then, you guys just
Been
rocked up
tight.
to gymnastics, and everything just fell into place.
I mean, it mainly fell into place just because there wasn't much of a Cali community. So pretty much everyone that starts Cali, you kind of get it brings you very tight because it's very niche.
I was going to ask about that. So when you met Jordan and Tyler, what was the scene? What was the calisthenics scene like at the time? Did
Dead.
it exist?
It
didn't
existed.
exist.
So prior to that, the old goats such as Dave, Robbie, these are just people that have been in calisthenics since
Aussie
2017 or something. They would compete overseas and do Melbourne comps, Sydney comps. They'll train there, but then after they left and COVID happened and everything, there was not much of a community at all because no one could go outside and train with different groups of people. So when I was in Sydney Olympic Park doing calisthenics, it was Javi and Jai that introduced me to freestyle and going to that gym. And then when I saw Jordan and Tyler, it was pretty much the start of creating a community because they were the ones that stepped in outside of my little bubble.
I only just met Tyler at that point anyway, through mutual friends.
Yeah.
Then I just went to gymnastics and he saw my story that I was getting into Cali dynamics, and he hadn't trained any dynamics at that point.
For
So we
those
just all started.
For those who don't know, Tyler is the fourth
member.
man of
He's
the
not
Fourth
here yet.
horseman.
but he's on his way.
Yeah.
We can't
Soon.
wait. Can't
Maybe
wait for him
another
to get here.
month.
Yep.
Since then, I haven't not met Tyler for like twice a week for like an entire year.
Put that a funny way.
Yeah, I know. So
Yeah,
I've met.
You
I've
haven't
met
not met him?
You've
I
seen
met up
him.
with Tyler twice a week for the past year. So it's really trippy to not see that
Yeah, we
guy.
haven't seen
for
him
the
in a
past
while.
month.
That's been me since I met you guys. Well, I knew you before, but since I joined the Cali community, it was literally that one time you guys came up here. You came up here for like how long was
about-
it? A week?
What about you, Blake? How did you start calisthenics without cutting you off? Finish
Well,
what
no,
you were saying
it kind of ties in, right? Because since I met you guys, I haven't not. I'm gonna butcher it like Isaac did. I've seen you every.
You haven't gone.
I haven't
more
gone
than-
more than like half a week without seeing you guys because we see
It's a
each
hard
other.
thing to phrase. We've just seen each other a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, and now we live together, so it's impossible to not see each other.
Yeah.
But no, I got into
It's
it.
really weird.
What?
We haven't said bye or hi to each other in ages.
Oh, dude, how
Because we're
weird!
always
that.
You know what? You know what wigged me out when I said hi to one of you at the park. I came down to the park like last week or 2 weeks ago, and I said, I think it was hi to, I think I said hi to you.
Maybe.
I don't know, one of you, and and then you got wigged out. You were like, "What the hell?" It's so
It's the
weird.
first time we
never
said
say
hi
it.
in ages.
Yeah, yeah, because we're always together.
Anyways, you're mentioning why you started calisthenics.
Well, yeah, it was. Well, it was kind of a weird situation because I was into the gym, as kind of everyone is with like their teenager. You at least attempt something at the gym.
Why did you
even
get
if
into the gym?
I think the underlying reason was because I was just a really small, scrawny kid and just didn't have the self-confidence. That was what I wanted out of the gym, was to just put on some size, be a little bit stronger, stand up for myself, have a bit more self-confidence, that sort of thing. I think it's a common reason why people get into the gym to start with, especially people that stay in the gym long term. Like everyone goes through phases, but if you have that underlying sense of, I guess,
You went to the gym though, Jordan. I didn't
Yeah,
go.
I trained for I think it was like 2 or 3 years before I started doing calisthenics.
Why did you get into the gym?
So I was a little skinny kid,
Same
nerdy
reason.
kid, lacked
Yeah.
confidence. I was extremely shy. I just played video games all the time when I was
Same.
younger.
Dude,
Yeah.
same.
And I literally
What games?
pondered
What
it.
games?
Oh, Call of Duty.
COD, yeah. He was a
Or is it
COD
always
guy.
like so COD or open world online games? Always online, but yeah,
Like
COD
Rust.
was huge.
Yeah.
I did
I played
I did
Rust.
so many hours in COD.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
many.
yeah, Prestige Master and shit.
Yeah.
That was
But
Yeah.
then I kind of decided to dedicate my time to something a bit more useful.
I think, just on a side note, in terms of the video game thing, I think a really positive thing to take out of playing video games, which obviously it's not a very productive thing to do, playing as a young teenager, one thing I took out of video games was I found that addiction transferable.
Yeah.
As soon as I was, it was very hard to get over playing video games, but the second I did, that addiction just transferred straight onto something else. And as long as it was productive, now it's transferred directly to calisthenics and a bunch of other productive
Yeah.
things. So definitely give credit to video games for that. Obviously wasted a lot of time playing video games, but there was one positive takeaway.
I'm the same. I'm the same. When I find something I like, I do it obsessively because I want to get good at it. I hate doing things that I'm not good at. So if I'm going to do something, I need to get very good at it. And usually once you start to get good, that's when it gets really enjoyable.
And once you get a taste of that whole journey, whether in anything, it transfers just like the addiction thing transfers. You want to be the master of everything. Do you know what I mean? Once you go through that whole journey of being a real beginner, being absolute dog shit at something, and then see your progression in whatever it is, if it's video games or whatever, you get addicted to the success, the feeling of success. Do you know what I mean? And then when you go to something else, so going from video games, getting addicted to the success there, you go to training or to playing a sport, exactly the same thing. Then you want that same feeling in whatever your new discipline
To be
is.
honest, video games ruined me. I played 8 hours a day and I was still shit.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
So you didn't get the taste of
No,
success.
I didn't get the taste
I was
of
at least
success.
good.
I was shit. It just ruined me. I got anxiety from it. I literally played Rust so many hours a day that when I went out to public to go to the walk to the oval to walk a lap, I'd feel like there's people out to get me. I literally get panic attacks.
Did anyone ever get you?
The dogs got me. The dogs.
The attack dogs, bro.
But like when we post stuff on social media, all the highlights and stuff we do, that's only half the story. So like you see me doing a handstand push-up for the first time when I was a teenager, like no one really knows how awesome that felt or how much
what the background was.
yeah, like the trials and tribulations it took for me to get there. Like when I was young, say 12 to 16, I was really anxious. Like I used to go to a youth group back in the day, and there would be tons of like girls and guys up in the upper floor chatting about. Like you won't see it now because I just make mogging videos in the public, and
Polar opposite.
I'm polar opposite now than I was.
You just don't
back
care
then.
about anything.
Yeah,
You'll just do it.
I literally don't care, but back then it was different, and I find it awesome because when I was in that youth place, I had to get away from all the noise because I was just too anxious. So I went downstairs, literally just sat in the dark room, did nothing, and when I felt ready to communicate and be a normal person, I'd go back up. But that just goes to show, like, Calisthenics really changed my life.
Rock bottom.
Rock bottom, exactly.
You have to hit rock bottom, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ideally.
When you do, you get the best comeback story.
What was your lowest moment?
Lowest moment.
Oh, this is deep. It's getting
Coming
deep.
fresh out of a breakup. At this point, well, my lowest, I was still training. So my lowest point kind of catalyzed me into going into weights before calisthenics.
Same.
So I'll touch on weights a bit. But pretty much towards the end of a 2-3 year relationship, I'd also had a bit of beef going on with family, usual family problems. It's mainly my dad just, heads clashing, not getting along very well. We're both very stubborn in our ways. So it was kind of a bit of both of us. And
You and me have very, very similar stories. It's weird.
And I remember there was a point where I was out of home for about 3 months, so I didn't talk to him.
Mm.
And I remember starting weights. I snagged some 9 kilo dumbbells from home, and I remember I was staying with my grandmother's, my nonna's at the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
just being in her garage, literally just doing some exercises which I'd found on YouTube with 9 kilo dumbbells, like doing some shoulder press, some dumbbell kickbacks. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was just started
winging it.
training.
Yeah, just wing it.
Was winging it,
Yeah.
and I just had decided, I'm gonna get big,
Mm.
I'm gonna get strong, want to build a nice physique, and from that point onwards, I literally,
Then you get hooked.
I've basically trained every day since, with the exception of some rest days here and there, but I've pretty much been obsessive since.
I had almost my rock bottom is exactly the same. Breakup, 3-year relationship ended, COVID. I was like unhealthily underweight. For those who don't know, I was 49 kilos in
Yeah,
2021.
I was
So,
like
or
61. I
2020.
was like 61, 62. I had the
was-
leg size on me, but my
I was
body's
49. It
Yeah,
was
that's
like
next
I
level.
was like anorexic level skinny. I didn't have the mental thing, but I was very, very skinny. And I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought like I had a health problem. That was my rock bottom. Yeah.
Usually, because I was there as well, but obviously not to that degree.
Mm.
But usually you think that you're eating a lot, but when you actually track it and think about what you eat in a day, you're not eating a lot at all. Once I started tracking my food, I realized I was not eating a lot at
Yeah.
all. So
For me-
once I properly started eating, I noticed the results came pretty quickly, but I was obsessive about it. Like, I couldn't go more than an hour without putting something in my mouth. Otherwise, I'd
Yeah.
get so stressed. I was just so sick of being skinny.
Yeah. I'm still sick of being skinny.
What forced you to eat more though? How'd you get this
Me?
weight? Yeah, where'd you start off? And
Well,
what
the
weight are you now?
inadequacy.
What I was going to say in sort of reply to you in terms of the eating thing was I found training to be my gateway to eating more. Like I've never been someone who is capable of eating more just by design. Like I can't just be like, okay, I'm going to eat more. And then
Yeah,
like,
you're
That's-
just terrible
I just
at
can't.
eating.
Yeah, I'm
That's the same as
the
me.
worst
But-
eater. I'm the worst eater on the planet.
For
but-
me, I would force feed till I gagged every meal.
Yeah, see,
when I was
like I
bulking.
try that, but for me, that limit is just so low. But when I was so light, I knew I wasn't eating enough. It was pretty obvious. Like I was skinny as shit. But once I started training every day, even at such a skinny frame, I started to like build muscle, and that drove the appetite. So it was kind of the reverse. Instead of eating more to put on size, I put on strength or size, and that forced me to eat more.
For me,
because my body
it was very different.
demanded it.
I was 63, and in a space of 1.5 years, I gained 10 kgs without having to force myself to eat. I
That's
just
Yeah,
because I was
naturally when you
16.
train more and you gain more muscle,
yeah,
you
and
naturally
also
burn more
I was in
energy
the
at
puberty
rest and you
phase.
get more of an appetite.
I
so
was in the
naturally-
puberty phase. I was 16 going to 17. I trained like a motherfucker every single day. When I first started Cali, I got my mum to drive me to the park after I did like my homework, and it'll be dark and no light, so she'll get her headlights on, and I'll just rep up pull-ups until I'm done, and eat
That's
like
so
a mum,
cute.
eat a mum cooked meal, and
W
just
mum.
gain so much mass.
W mum.
Yeah,
Just aims the car headlights at
yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Was she happy that you were training? Like, was she just happy you weren't playing video games?
Yeah,
and
she
you're
was
actually
happy I
outside?
wasn't playing fucking video games and wasting my life.
Yeah.
Still wasting my life, but not doing video games at least.
Wasting it positively, wasting it productively.
Well, I wouldn't say positively. I did break my ankle, so
Slight hiccups, but
Yeah.
productive overall.
Who inspired you to do calisthenics?
Oh, that's a really interesting question.
Who?
Because you got started into it, but like, did you ever have like an influencer, like a figurehead?
I don't think so, eh?
Did you, Blake?
Well, like I was saying, my entry into calisthenics was a little bit kind of disjointed because I went to the gym first. I started going to the gym when I was like 14. And when I was maybe 16, 17, that's when you kind of start to get on social media and like really build like idols and idolize people. And around then was David Lade and Jeff Seid.
So
were, like,
that
the two.
was what got you into training.
Yeah.
They
in
got
general.
me into
Because they're
got me-
bodybuilding.
That was the
Yeah, they got
aesthetics,
me into
aesthetics
so they're
era.
bodybuilders. They got me into the gym.
Yeah.
And then it would just so happened that when COVID hit and I was training in the gym after my lowest point, I was doing a lot of weighted calisthenic stuff because I only had like a cage.
Yeah.
I didn't have the machines that you have at a gym. So to do heavy tricep workouts and heavy back workouts, I was doing pull-ups and dips, weighted pull-ups and dips. And so then when I came across muscle-ups, I already had the foundation of doing like heavy weighted pull-ups. I was already doing 20, 30 kilo weighted pull-ups at like less than 60 kilos.
To me, I was the complete opposite. I didn't want a shred of muscle on myself. I always watched like Ben 10 and Slug Terror and all these shows that had like a shadowy ninja type archetype of a character.
So you wanted that mobility. And
Shadow
you wanted,
accelerate.
No,
wanted,
I just
you wanted the agility and skill.
I didn't want to be that burly slow cunt. That
he wanted
just
to
like,
be the parkour.
yeah. I want to be like the quick ninja dude, right?
Yeah.
And so when I first started calisthenics, I was skinny. I was game addicted. I had glasses. I looked like a nerd. And so I saw Chris Hero video and he was jacked. He had tattoos. He was Asian. And so it really drew me into that. And when I did calisthenics, I didn't know weights at all. I just did body weight. I didn't even consider starting the gym when I wanted to change my life. It was always calisthenics because it just appealed to me that much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think as well having that anime background that like you see a lot of characters on that like anime characters don't train in the gym.
yeah,
Generally
like when you
speaking,
watch
maybe.
Naruto, it's like Naruto and Sasuke versus a burly villain. And like they have tons of muscles, but then they get absolutely wrecked by like a Rasengan or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
What I noticed as well, comparing weights to calisthenics, is when I got into weights, the only reason I truly enjoyed doing weights was because I had a purpose. I wanted to put on size and just build up a physique. And I thought that was the only way. Otherwise, I did gymnastics and flipping and a little bit of parkour before that.
Yep.
And I enjoyed that more, but I knew that wasn't going to make me big.
Yeah.
So I trained weights because I wanted to put on size.
Yeah.
But then when I discovered calisthenics and realized, man, I can get really strong. I can maintain and build a nice physique. And if I really want to, I can still put on size. You just got to eat more. I realized, man, what have I been doing this whole time? I've been doing weights. Because, I mean, let's be real, lying down and just lifting up a weight and putting it back down can get pretty boring at times, especially if you're not progressing.
Absolutely.
So-
especially doing it by yourself with headphones on in an intimidating environment.
Dude, how
Lack of
crappy
community.
was working out at the gym like last
Bruh.
night?
Yeah,
Bruh.
man.
was
I
so
just
bad.
hate, I hate training in a
like
gym now.
It brought that back like not PTSD, but just horrible memories of going to the gym by myself so many times and just like not having you guys around to like G up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It just
you try
reminded
and-
me how good calisthenics is in the sense of the freedom it provides. That's what that's another reason that I got so obsessed with it. It's the fact that I could just do it anywhere. And I'm a very freedom obsessed person. I love freedom in any sense, freedom of thought, freedom of being able to move wherever you want, freedom to train anywhere. Anything that provides me some sense of freedom, I love. So
and
having
and
that
cheap
ability.
or free as
yeah,
well.
cheap.
You know,
And
it's
that also ties into the freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't require it's
The social
not financially
environment is
limiting.
also different. Like I saw a guy that I've known on Instagram for like a few months now, and like I've met him at Fit Expo, but then I saw him at the gym the other day, looked him dead straight in the eyes, and he just shook his head, looked away, and continued listening to music and doing his workout. Like I find it so rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know him?
Yeah, I know him
You met him?
on social media, but like it's just the vibe that you get from
Yeah,
gym people.
yeah.
You do a set and they don't even care. when
You
do
rock up to
something
Meadowbank Mondays, and it's like you're the president of the
Well,
the
and
United
that also
States of
ties
America.
into the fact that calisthenics is very niche. So when you see another person doing it, you know it's kind of rare. So you very quickly can feel it's very welcoming.
Yeah,
People that there's plenty of gym goers, so
they hate it.
They don't really care
They
too
hate it,
much.
bro.
It's not that welcoming like calisthenics.
They
is.
try not to see it. When you go to Meadowbank Mondays, which is just a workout group, like a meetup that we do every Monday at the suburb Meadowbank in Sydney, we always show off. Like everyone loves to show off their skills. We encourage it. And when you do something cool, everyone cheers. Everyone puts on a track for you to hit the drop to.
And you're always just trying to one up each other and like do shit together and like
in the gym, when you try to show off and like you slam your weights, you do some awesome weight, you shout, you get G'd up. People just kind of roll their eyes.
yeah, everyone gives you the side eye and like it's disgusting.
Yeah,
It's honestly
not
disgusting.
Everyone doesn't want to see other people win. They just want to stay in their own world, put in the earphones, get shit done.
Yeah, but I think that's partly as well because of the culture that mainly you've built. Like honestly, because you were one of the founders of Meadowbank Mondays, and at the time there wasn't really any other community going on in Sydney.
Yeah, Isaac's done so much
that
for
had that vibe
calisthenics.
going on. And now, if you look at Sydney now, how many meetups are there a week? There's like at least
Isaac
4.
started basically
At least 4
a chain
big ones.
reaction, which caused all these meetups.
Yeah,
to kick off.
and so like really, if you go down to the basis of it, like you and the guys that started Meadowbank initially are literally the reason why that stigma exists in calisthenics, because all the meetups and that sort of stuff are all heavily associated with you guys.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows that starting calisthenics is the easy part. You just do a push-up, just do a pull-up, whatever. It's sticking to it and making sure that you have enough discipline, which is the hardest part, right? Because you go to Meadowbank for like a month and then you end up not going for a week. The boys will just slam you. They'll be like, "What is up? Why are you playing games? Why are you not coming out to train with us? Like, what's up? You pussy or some shit."
That's when
Yeah, exactly. And when I first started calisthenics, I'm just built different, so I've never lost discipline and motivation. I was lonely. I was at the top in my specific bubble. No, I didn't even know there was other people around Australia like Ethan, Bryden, Dave that could do calisthenics. So what I did during lockdown was I made my own community. I built them up. Literally, Alex, from 0 pull-ups to like 5 muscle-ups, 25 pull-ups in a row in the space of like 6 to 8 months. And then like Aiden as well. And then Jeff, he can now do handstand push-ups and front levers. I built these guys up. I invested my time into them. Started Meadowbank Mondays, started off small, got more people involved into it through social media. Now we've got the community where everyone supports each other.
Such a positive culture. Such a positive culture.
Exactly. It's just, I owe it all to those guys, honestly.
Yeah.
And you've been training calisthenics for 5 years now as well.
Yeah, I've been training calisthenics for
Been in
5
the
years.
game
The
the
first 3 years, I had absolutely no one.
Yeah.
I'll just look at people online.
That's such
motivate.
dedication. Like 3 years when you say it, it's just like, 3 years. But to think you actually train pretty much every day for 3 years straight with just
By
yourself.
Yeah.
That's like insane dedication.
To me, the quitting was not an option because I started off really anxious. I started off really shy and skinny. I didn't want to go back to that space where I just was lazy and playing games again. That's just never an option. Like I cannot do that to myself. So I stuck with calisthenics. When I first trained, I didn't post much, but come say like mid 2019, about 6 months after I trained calisthenics, I posted for the first time, and it shocked all my friends. Go like, "Oh, Isaac's actually got abs, and he's doing this move, he's doing that move." They saw all of that, and they're like, "Wow."
And now you're the most documented calisthenics athlete in the world.
Yeah, I'm the most documented, but the reason why I documented stuff was to keep me motivated and disciplined. Because if I didn't post something, then I know my friends will call me out on it and be like, hey, Isaac, you still training? And like, you still got those abs, you can still those push-ups. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm
Like,
just,
or
I'm just
like-
gonna
like on
I
your
mold.
can I can
Instagram.
resonate because that's
You
literally
haven't
been
posted in
happening
a
to
few
me
weeks
lately.
and
Like
everyone's
obviously
asking
I'm not losing motivation. I'm not training because we're here, right? But
You just haven't been posting it.
yeah, but it's literally resonates exactly with what you're saying. Like people call you out on that shit. Like I haven't posted anything on social media for my training until yesterday. For like
I'll
a
train
couple weeks.
calisthenics till I die.
For real, bro. For
I'll
real.
never stop.
I don't care if I lose both my legs and my limbs. I'll still do calisthenics some way.
There's
somehow.
nothing that will
You've lost
stop me.
one and you're
If
still
I
doing
if I
it.
lose an arm, I'll just train with one arm. I'll do one arm handstands. If I lose legs,
One
doesn't
arm
matter. I
planche.
can still train upper body. I'll train forever.
That's facts. That's facts.
I'll die
Especially-
with a 6-pack.
Especially now that we're doing this, like
Yeah.
it's impossible to not train.
We
now.
burnt our ships.
Yeah, the ships are
Like what? Are we
Ships
just, are we
sank,
gonna? We're just gonna quit calisthenics now? Like we set up a podcast, we're talking about it. Invested this much time and effort into building a podcast, moving in with a group of boys, starting something. How are we gonna quit? It's impossible. You have to burn your ships in order to achieve greatness.
words been removed from the vocabulary. Quit.
Quit doesn't exist
Doesn't.
in my mind at all.
No,
Yeah, for me,
real.
calisthenics has never been something that it's never even. It very occasionally can feel like a chore, but overall, I was just obsessed since day one. Since I got the muscle up, I've just been absolutely obsessed with it. So it's very rarely ever a chore for me
What's something that if you could go back, you would do differently?
in calisthenics specifically.
In calisthenics. What say if you were talking to yourself back when you like you could give yourself a piece of advice when you were starting calisthenics, what would it be?
I wouldn't change a thing
Yeah, I don't think I would really change much because I kind of just figured out a lot on my own. And
because you could do something different, but it just puts you on a different path. It's not the wrong path. It's just a different one.
there's many ways.
That's
to
a
do
really
it.
interesting thing about calisthenics as well.
So
eh?
I knew Jai Garner. So Jai's my good mate that does calisthenics, and I've known him for a while. Look, if I met up with him earlier, and trained with him in Javier and Mariano when he was back in Australia, and Dave when he was still really good, I would have been at a much higher level than I would have been now. But then I wouldn't have invested time to build Metabake Monday, so there wouldn't have been a community. Because that time that Javier and Mariano and Dave, they're all training together and going to comps in Brisbane and Adelaide and Perth. During that time, I was building Metabake Mondays. I was in the backgrounds, not part of the community at all.
building your own.
Building Metabake,
Yeah.
and now it's
Why did you build Metabank?
yes.
You mentioned.
I mentioned it before. I literally built it because I wanted a tribe of brothers. In 2021 during lockdown, I had a good mate, and we always talked because he was my hairdresser, and so we'd have barber talk, right? And I said to him, I want a tribe of brothers, a band of brothers, so that I could feel fulfilled, and I needed that accountability in my life. So I said, okay, my goal is to create that. So I just made Metabank. I trained up people that were close to me and created this community.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to your question, I wouldn't change a single thing.
Yeah, I don't think I would either, to be honest. I don't think I did anything necessarily wrong either in terms of.
I don't really think there is a sort of wrong way to do it.
Unless you break an
Yeah,
ankle.
unless you end up with a snapped ankle.
Yeah.
But if you were to go back to your past self, what would you tell them not to do?
I would probably have said start training calisthenics sooner. I feel like I almost wasted time in the
dude,
gym.
yeah.
Man, instead of just going to weights, if I discovered calisthenics sooner, dude, I could have been a planche god by now.
Mm.
That's the only thing,
That's-
but you can't change that.
I
right?
like thinking about that and then letting it motivate me to inspire younger people and inspire people to get into calisthenics
Yeah.
because I think generally it's very difficult to try calisthenics and then not want to get better at it. Do you know what I mean? Just across the spectrum.
Not necessarily. It's also extremely hard sport. If you try it, you see people see us training on handstand push-ups and planche and whatnot, and all these hard moves. If you're a teenager and you probably can only do a couple pull-ups, that can be. I mean, yeah, some people might have the motivation and want to get better, but a lot of people are going to be like, man, that's so hard. How am I going to get to that level?
That's seeing the end result though.
That was
I'm talking
Jeff.
About, I'm
That was
talking about
Jeff.
when you actually try it yourself.
Yeah, that was Jeff, bro. When I trained him during COVID, he knew me off Instagram. He was at like a brother school to me. So he knew of me, but he never met up. When I put out a story saying come train, he looked at what I was doing. He thought it was impossible. Even to this day, if you know Jeff in Medebank, he always says, "Fuck you! This is so hard. How are you doing this? This is impossible." Next thing he knows, the boys push him, and he achieves a skill.
Does it himself.
He does it himself. It's insane. Like it's out of nowhere. He's
Jeffy Lau.
yeah.
Shout out,
Fucking
big
love
shout
Jeff. I
out,
miss
Jeffy
Jeff.
Lau.
I love Jeff.
The
He's
king.
so sus, man. He's listening to this now. I love him.
Sus.
Yeah.
So sus. Shout out, Jeff.
How we
Yeah.
been going for time?
Oh, we're doing good.
Yeah.
No stress. Yeah.
That's one thing that inspires me though. Is I want to motivate as many people as possible to get into it. That's kind of the underlying thing there.
Yeah.
Because and it comes back to what you said about like if I could give myself a piece of advice, it would be start earlier.
I almost see people that don't train it and think, how can you not want to train it?
Exactly.
Like
So-
think about how strong you get and the fact that it can be done anywhere. You have no excuse to, if you train calisthenics, you have no excuse to miss a session. Like you really, like you can just, if you have a piece of floor, you can train it. Have we even discussed what calisthenics, have we discussed the three types of,
Oh, not the types.
we
not
haven't
the
discussed
archetypes.
the categories of what's actually involved in it. So we should probably
I
touch
guess we
on that.
could.
I mean-
well, you have the basics, right? Which is pull-ups, push-ups, dips. That's kind of the basics calisthenics.
I was
That's stuff that
thinking-
you do in the gym and that sort of stuff. That's the entry level basics. Most people even do it without knowing that it's calisthenics. But
Yeah.
go on.
So I was going to mention the main kind of area would be static calisthenics, which is static meaning obviously your body's still. So it's basically moves where your body's still, but
You hold
I guess
yourself. You
push-ups-
hold yourself in positions.
yeah,
that
you
look
hold
very-
yourself in
that are very
positions and
difficult.
it's
Yeah.
you're still or your body's moving slowly. So, you know, your handstands, your handstand push-ups, your front levers, which is where you're basically hanging off a bar, but you're lying down in the air. You got your planche, which is this move here. It's all static calisthenics.
Ilias, the king.
So that's probably the main area.
Burning
And you got
gate.
dynamic calisthenics, which is swinging on bars. So dynamic, obviously meaning you're in motion.
moving.
So swinging on bars, it's essentially gymnastics, but a more street style version of it. So 360s and flips and stuff. And then you've also got kind of a more niche area, which is weighted calisthenics, which is essentially just dips, pull-ups and muscle-ups with added weight. And yeah, I don't really train weighted. I just do dynamic and static.
It's
They're my
not
main
as-
focus.
It's not as aesthetic as the other two, and generally in competitions, like the bigger competitions, focus mostly on
Yeah.
dynamics and statics.
And also, you do need equipment if you want to train weighted. Usually,
you need
a
weights.
gym. Right? So I don't like I don't want a gym membership
Yeah.
at all anymore. I'm over the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't really want to go in a gym. So that kind of
And
is
to be
another reason why I don't do it.
to be a complete calisthenics athlete, you need to have
Yeah.
well, at least statics and dynamics. But you know, if you're good enough at statics,
It'll
it
translate.
will translate
pretty well.
to weighted calisthenics.
Whereas doing
generally,
weighted
yeah.
won't translate very well to static or dynamic for that matter.
I beg to differ.
It's a good foundation.
It can
but
help,
You still have to.
But what I'm saying is, if you're a gun in statics, that will translate more to weighted than being a gun in weighted translating to static. Static will translate far more efficiently to weighted calisthenics compared to the opposing.
I owe all my planche progress to my weighted dips. I did it for 6 months. I went from 65 kg dips. I did 8 reps of 65 kgs 3 times, so 3 sets. Went all the way up to 85 kgs for 8 reps. Did it 3 times.
That's 85 kilos hanging from your body.
From my balls. Literally.
Yeah.
And
Think about what's crazy to think about is the average person would struggle. If you think about the average male, just find the average male
They
on
would
the
struggle
street.
to lift their own.
They would
body weight
struggle
on
to
the
do
tip.
one dip, one bodyweight dip. Like just the average, you approach any random man in a shopping mall, and the average person would probably struggle to do one bodyweight dip.
Yeah. Or
And then you got
or a
this
couple,
bloke doing 85 kilo hanging off his body.
He's got
dips.
the average man hanging from his body
Yeah.
doing a dip.
It's pretty crazy the
I
disparity in
weighed
strength
70.
between
I
just
weighed
the normal-
73 at the time.
Yeah.
But it's the same with pull-ups.
It was
as well.
harder to set it up and squat up with the plates than it was to dip it.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it built up my foundation, and then I owe all my progress to planche because of that. Because I train every single day, not more than 90% to failure. doing planche only. Like the past 7.5 months, I've been doing planche only. And think about it. If you go to the gym, you only pick one exercise to do. That's equivalent to what I've been doing with calisthenics. Just focusing on one exercise and suffering no injuries besides my ankle, but like that's separate. Suffering no injuries because I built up a foundation. So if you want to start calisthenics and your barrier to entry is the sheer like magnitude of how difficult these exercises are, just do basics first and you can figure out the rest later.
Yep.
Yeah, it's,
Push-ups,
honestly, it's
pull-ups,
just
and
a lot of
dips.
trying stuff and trying to figure it out.
Yep.
Like I got a few tips from YouTube and the odd person here and there, but honestly, a lot of it was just kind of figuring out and using my intuition.
And
to
that keeps it
kind of
exciting as well.
decide, how am I going to approach this? And then when you kind of stick to something and you just commit to it and you just trust that it should eventually work and eventually you see progress, then it'll make sense.
That's what keeps it fun and exciting too, is figuring it out for yourself, carving your own path. And there's still going to be people that do it a different way to how anyone else has ever done it before. That's what keeps it exciting for anyone.
Calisthenics, it literally rewires your brain as well.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Carries on to every single aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Just progressions and also believing that you can do something even though it's impossible. Suspend disbelief. If you can't
Suspend
see the letters on
disbelief.
top, it says suspend disbelief. Did you actually want to go into that? Like, what does it mean to suspend disbelief?
It's kind of a deep concept, but it's my favorite. I don't know if I'd call it a quote. It's more just a saying, I guess. But it comes from a book that I read called U Squared. And
U squared.
U Squared, yeah. It's basically like a sort
Mindset
of
book.
mindset book, motivation kind of style book. And it just resonated with me. Suspend disbelief. It's the idea that generally, even if
You can't
you
do something.
so in any situation that's difficult, don't rule out the possibility of you doing it. So don't say you can't do something. Even if it's hard and you think you might not be able to, just leave yourself open
To the possibility.
to the possibility of being able to do it. So
basically-
suspend disbelief. Disbelief is refusing.
Put
to
your
believe
disbelief
something.
on hold and just see what will happen.
Right. Exactly. And then, if you never get there, you never get there. But at least you left the door open to the possibility of being able to get there versus just completely eliminating all chances of doing anything from the start. Then you're destined for failure.
Yeah.
So that's the general sort of basis of why it resonated with me. But it's just such a deep. There's so many other aspects to it that I'd probably have to remind myself of because I love it so much. But yeah, it's a great saying. Suspend disbelief, and it aligns so well with planche because you're literally suspending yourself above the ground on your hands.
Yeah.
So that was
Man.
why I
It
used
looks
the-
impossible, but as of recently, I realized it's very possible.
Planche is crazy. Planche is one of those moves where you can put so many hours into it and notice next to no progress.
Yeah.
Like so many people will go years and years without even noticing progress.
Me.
Some people literally taken. No, I know of people that have been training for 8 years in calisthenics and they still can't planche.
Yeah, like
Pretty
look
crazy.
look at me. Like, hey, look, I'm just a normal guy. To people that know Blake and John, I'm just like I started 16 years old, nerdy kid, glasses, no one special. But like, I just stuck with it. It took me 5 years. If you go onto my Instagram, Isaac Tang _SW, and you go to my highlights, planche genesis, literally see me starting from the age of 16 all the way up to now. If you go planche highlight number 1 and 2. Like I was just an ordinary guy, but now I can planche and now I can mog, and that's just how it is. If you
Moggability.
stick to something, it doesn't matter if you go on YouTube and you see some Russian 13-year-old do Maltese from zero in 1 year.
Maltese is basically a planche, but your
Wide.
hands are much wider.
Like-
so
like that.
you're
Ridiculously wide.
you're basically flat, just holding
Yeah.
yourself up while looking at the ground.
Like look at me as an example. Suspend disbelief. Doesn't matter if it takes 5 years. Eventually, it's all gonna come back to you.
Anything's possible.
Anything is
Word.
possible.
Literally anything is possible.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah. I think that's a good point to end
Yeah.
Yeah.
our
It's a good point to
discussion
end
on. But
That was good.
let us know if you like this podcast, you like the structure of it. Give us feedback. We love criticism as well. We're obviously consistently trying to improve. And like we said at the start, our aim is 20 episodes by the end of the year. So
Yep.
we're only 2 in. So we got 18 more to go. And hopefully the 18 that we do from here till the end of the year are constantly improving.
It's
And
going
the
to get
only-
easier as well.
Yeah, the only way that we're going to improve with those 18 going forward is through criticism from you guys. So if you're listening, leave a review on Spotify. Check us out on Instagram if you haven't already, via.valenti
YouTube as well.
and YouTube. Yeah, so we'll chuck up a couple polls as well.
Yeah, we'll put a poll and also Google form that you could write to us, and we'll use that as feedback to improve ourselves. Like calisthenics, and as I said before, it applies to everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're willing to improve. We know that we are absolutely crap at making a podcast, but we're open to suggestions, and we just want to get better at podcasting. It's a skill like anything else.
Yeah,
It
it's
feels fun to try
Yeah,
rather
totally.
than not.
Yep,
Just throw yourself in the deep end and see
Yep.
how you go.
exactly.
But
For real.
anywho,
Suspend disbelief.
For real. Suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
Good chat.
Yeah, good chat.
Good
Yeah,
chat.
righto.
All right, we'll see you next week.
See you
on the next
later.
ep.
Take care. Bye.